So today we are going to start Book 4, the Book of Birth and Quest. And the first canto is called The Birth and Childhood of the Flame. Savitri is like a flame, a pure flame of love. So I will read the first page and a half. A maenad of the cycles of desire, around a light she must not dare to touch, hastening towards a far-off unknown goal, earth followed the endless journey of the sun. A mind but half awake in the swing of the void, on the bosom of inconscience dreamed out life, and bore this finite world of thought and deed across the immobile trance of the infinite. A vast, immutable silence with her ran. Prisoner of speed upon a jeweled wheel, she communed with the mystic heart in space. Amid the ambiguous stillness of the stars, she moved towards some undisclosed event, and her rhythm measured the long whirl of time. In ceaseless motion round the purple rim, day after day sped by like colored spokes, and through a glamour of shifting hues of air, the seasons drew in linked significant dance the symbol pageant of the changing year. Across the burning languor of the soil paced summer with his pomp of violent noons, and stamped his tyranny of torrid light and the blue seal of a great burnished sky. Next, through its fiery swoon or clotted knot, rain tide burst in upon torn wings of heat, startled with lightnings air's unquiet drowse, lashed with life-giving streams the torpid soil, overcast with flare and sound and storm-winged dark, the star-defended doors of heaven's dim sleep. Or from the gold eye of her paramour, covered with packed cloud veils, the earth's brown face. Armies of revolution crossed the time field. The clouds' unending march besieged the world. Tempests' pronunciamentos claimed the sky, and thunder drums announced the embattled gods. A traveler from unquiet neighboring seas, the dense-maned monsoon rode neighing through earth's hours. So I will stop there. So right at the beginning of the first line, we've got a new word, a menad. A menad is a Greek word, and it means one of the female worshippers of the ancient Greek god Dionysus. Dionysus was the god of wine, of Ananda, the god who brought a kind of divine intoxication. And he was worshipped by women who danced around his image in a circle, in a state of ecstasy, of trance. So,
dance is used as a form of worship.
As a form of worship, yes. And in other countries also. But this is especially the way they dance in a circle around the deity. So here he says the earth, our planet Earth, is like a menad. And it's as if she's dancing around the sun in a circle. He says that she's a menad of the cycles. That's also a circle of movement, a circular movement. The cycles of desire, as if what's keeping this circular movement going, it is desire. So she's a menad of the cycles of desire, and she's dancing around this light that she must not dare to touch. The earth has to keep at a certain distance from the sun. And she would be destroyed if she went too close. So she mustn't dare to touch it. Nevertheless, the earth is not just going around in circles. There is a journey, a movement. She's always hurrying as she goes around, but her goal she will reach in spirals. And this goal is far away, unknown. The destiny of the earth is not clear. But she's following the endless journey of the sun. The sun is also moving. We think of the sun as the stable center of our galaxy. But the ancient Indians, the sages, they knew that everything in the universe is moving. And the sun is also moving. It's also on a journey. And of course now our scientists tell us that the whole solar system is moving around the edge of our galaxy. And the galaxy itself is moving in space. Not just turning, but also moving. Everything is moving in this moving universe.
A mind but half awake in the swing of the void, and the bosom of inconscience dreamed out life, and bore this finite world of thought and heat across the immobile trance of the infinite.
So this earth has a consciousness. In the present state of evolution, the earth mind is half awake. We are in a state of ignorance. We are still waking up. We, human beings, we represent the mind, the consciousness of the earth. And so, in the whole universe, in this moving, swinging emptiness, which is the universe, on the bosom, on the breast of inconscience, the world that is not conscious, the world of matter, which is represented by earth. Earth. When Sri Aurobindo speaks about earth, he doesn't mean only our planet. He means this whole principle of matter, of unconscious, apparently unconscious material principle. So on the bosom of the inconscious, there's this mind which is dreaming out life, this half-awake mind, this life, all this life that we experience here, it's like a kind of dream. No? And this, we could say the consciousness of Earth is carrying this whole finite world, this limited world where thought goes on and conscious action goes on. It's carrying it through space across this immobile trance of the infinite. So there's something that doesn't move, that is immobile. It's this concentrated consciousness of the infinite being which has given rise to this universe. And the earth is traveling through it. Prasanna.
Across the immobile trance of the infinite, a vast immutable silence with the grand resonance of speed upon a jewel review. She communed with the mystic heart in space.
So this her, again, this is the earth as she moves round and round in this dance. There's a silence, an unmoving silence, which is surrounding her, all around her, so as she moves. And the earth, he says, is like a prisoner of speed. She has to keep moving, and it's her speed that keeps her in the right position relative to the sun and everything else. No? And he says this movement, this orbit of the earth is like a wheel. In a wheel there's the hub at the center. This would be in our solar system, this would be the sun. And then there's a rim. So for the earth, the rim is her own orbit. And she's connected to the hub with these spokes. In your cycle you have spokes, no? There's the hub and there's the rim, and joining them there are the spokes. So he says this is like a jeweled wheel. These spokes actually are the days, and the days are many-colored. You know, she goes round and round and round. And as she's moving round and round, there's also a communication going on between the earth goddess, the earth consciousness, and the mystic heart in space. As if this whole universe has a heart, and she's connected to that. There's some communication going on. James.
Amid the ambiguous stillness of the stars, she moved toward some undisclosed event, and her rhythm measured the long world of time.
Yes. So there, as she moves, the stars don't seem to be saying anything. They don't seem to be changing. No. What does their stillness mean? We don't know. Something that's ambiguous, mysterious, doubtful. We can interpret it how we like, but we don't actually know what the stars mean or are saying. But the earth is moving towards something that is going to happen, an event. Something is going to happen. It's not yet clear what that event is. It's undisclosed. It hasn't been revealed what that event will be, but that rhythm as she moves around the sun, this measures time. It's the days, the hours. It's measured by the movement of Earth around the sun. We measure in days, and we measure in months, and we measure in seasons and years. It's all controlled by the rhythm of the Earth's movement around the sun. Francesca?
In ceaseless motion round the purple ring, day after day sped by light-colored spots, and through a glamour of shifting hues of air, the seasons drew in linked significant dance, the symbol pageant of the changing year.
Yes. So, as she's moving, ceaseless, unstopping moving around this purple rim. The word purple, it means glowing and bright. Of course, it's a color, but it has this suggestion. And I was very happy, an Italian lady who came once, she explained to us this color it was only allowed to be worn by the Roman emperors. Only the emperors could wear this color. And it was because the dye was very costly and difficult to make. But she said, it's not only this color that we call purple. That purple that they wore, it had golden threads woven into it. So it was really shining and brilliant. And that's the suggestion about this, the poetic suggestion of this word purple. It's glowing, a deep, rich, glowing color. So he says that rim, as the Earth moves around in her orbit, it has this quality. Day after day, sped by. This is from the verb to speed. It went by quickly. The days go by quickly, like the colored spokes of the wheel. And there's an atmosphere through a glamour, a kind of magic, enchantment, of shifting hues of air. The air changes through the days, through the seasons. We get different colors in the air. The seasons drew, it has two meanings, other meanings as well, but here it's as if they are outlining. What they are outlining is the pageant. A pageant is a display, a procession in which a kind of story is enacted. We have these moving floats, we call them, and on each of these floats some kind of scene is being shown. The original pageants used to be processions. People would walk along a significant route and they would stop and act out a scene of the story they were commemorating. And then the next place, the next scene, the next one, like that. So he says the seasons of the year, they are enacting, they are presenting a pageant, a story that has a meaning. He says it's a symbol pageant. It has a symbolic meaning. Each of the seasons has its own symbolic meaning. And he's going to bring out that symbolic meaning of the seasons as he takes us through the year. And there, in art, in Western art, the seasons are often shown as beautiful goddesses. No? So here, the seasons, it's like 6 beautiful goddesses, one going in front, and then the next one following, and the next one following. They are doing their dance of the year. It's a significant dance. They are linked, they're connected. Each one is holding hands with the one before and behind, and the whole dance has a significance. Vera, would you read?
Across the burning lacquer of the soil, placed summer with his pomp of vibrant moons, and spent his tyranny of torrid light, and the blue seal of a great burnished sky.
So here he shows summer. He's the first one to come in this series that he's describing as a god. He's pacing, he's walking. As he walks, the soil becomes very hot, burning, but also sleepy. Languor, it's when you don't feel very energetic. The earth heats up. And he's a god who has a kind of entourage, beings surrounding him. He walks in pomp. It means it's as if there are musicians and attendants with him and bright colors. Violent noons. There are times when in the middle of summer it's as if the sun is a great lion in the sky there roaring at us. The hottest part of the day is somehow very, very powerful and intense. Violent noons. Noon is the time when the sun is directly above. So there he doesn't allow anything else to happen. Only this burning heat, this tyranny. A tyrant is a king who only his will must be done. He doesn't listen to anybody else. This torrid light. Torrid means hot, burning. And he shows us this blue seal of a great burnished sky. Burnished as if the sky has been polished. And it's shining down the whole, it's not just the sun, it's the whole sky is sending down rays of light. Mahalingam.
Next, through his fiery soul or clocked knot, rain tide backed in upon torn wings of heat, startled lightnings, gas unquiet drowsy, lashed with light-giving streams, the torpid soil, overcasting flare and sound and stormy dark. The star-defended doors of heaven's dim sleep, off from the gold light of a paramount, covered with cloud waves, the air's grown face.
So his wonderful description of the rainy season, rain tide. Tide means season, time. It's the rainy season. And this bursts in, suddenly it comes, as if a great bird coming on this torn wings of heat. It's tearing the heat. The rain tide can't come unless things get very hot. That's the idea. We have to have those Agni winds, those hottest winds, and then the rains will come. And when it comes, it brings lightning. That uneasy sleepiness of the height of summer suddenly gets woken up by the lightnings, and suddenly the water pours down, streams of life-giving rain. Rain tide is the time when everything gets fertilized again, after this dry, hot season. There's life-giving streams pouring down on this torpid soil, the soil that's been so dry and hot and lazy as if it's drugged. And the whole sky is covered, it's overcast with that flare of the lightning and the sound and this darkness. Even during the day it becomes dark. These wings of storm sweeping in, making it dark. And we no longer see the stars. It overcasts. Usually the stars are there like guardians watching the quiet heavens. At night we see the stars, but when rain tide comes in, we don't see the stars anymore. And even during the day, we don't see the sun, because this rain tide covers the earth's face with veils of cloud, thick cloud, packed cloud. So the sun, who is her lover, can no longer see her face. It's veiled with clouds. It's a beautiful image, no? The gold eye of the sun, he's looking down, loving her, sending his warm rays. But now she's covered with clouds. He can't see her anymore.
Star-dependent doors.
Yes, there's this idea that the stars are guardians. They are warriors. They have spears. So Sri Aurobindo's just hinting at this image here, that normally during the summer nights, the nights may be peaceful, heaven will be sleeping, you'll be protected by those star warriors. But now we can't see that anymore. It's overcast by the storms and lightning and thunder and lightning. You'll read?
Advice of revolution crossed the time frame. The clouds unending march beside the world. Templates,
Pronunciamentos.
climb the sky. The tented drums announced the emparted gods.
Yes. So rain time, it's a time of change also. It's not only that the life-giving streams come, it's a complete change from the summer to the rain tide. And he says it's a symbol of change. It's a symbol of revolution. And all these storms are like armies crossing the time field. And there's clouds marching, besieging, attacking the world almost. Pronunciamentos, it's, I think it's a Spanish word from the time of the Spanish Civil War. The fascists, they kept issuing these proclamations, these commands. They would be announced over the radio, and everybody would hear those bellowing voices. So he says the thunder is like that. The storms are like announcing big changes coming. No? The whole sky is echoing with those announcements. And these thunder drums. The gods, he says, are embattled. The cosmic forces for good are under attack from all these storms. But they are there, they're ready to fight. they are sending their thunder also. Joel.
A traveler from unquiet neighboring seas, the dense manned monsoon rode, nagging through earth hours. Thick now the emissary javelins. Enormous lightnings split the horizon's rim, and heard from the quarters as from contending camps, married heaven's hedges, steep and bare and blind.
I think we'll pause there, it's a long sentence. So the monsoon comes. It comes in from the seas. It's coming from these, and of course when it comes, the seas get stirred up, they're unquiet. And he shows the monsoon coming like a great horse with a thick mane of clouds and tempest. It rode, neighing. This is the sound that a horse makes when it's excited. So this, the monsoon comes with these noises through the earth's hours. And these armies are fighting. They are fighting, they are using javelins. This is a kind of long spear. I think it's nowadays in the Olympics, they have javelin throwing, it's one of the items, no? So what are these javelins? It's the rain coming down so violently, yeah? And they've been sent. Emissary. An emissary is a messenger, somebody who's been sent. And these lightnings, they're coming from this side and that side. They split the horizon. And it's as if the lightnings are weapons too. They're being thrown as if from one camp to the other and then back again. They come from different sides, contending camps, camps where soldiers are camped. They are at war. No? The quarters are the 4 points of the compass, north, south, east, west. So they're coming from all sides. And as they come, it says they marry heaven's edges. It's quite a visual picture. When in the dark, when the flash of lightning comes, suddenly we see, oh, there's piled up clouds. No, there's a kind of canopy over the sky, and we're not aware of that until there's a flash of lightning. And then we see it all lit up, and we see both sides, all the sides. The edges of heaven are steep and bare and blind. Gumsun, you like to read? Try.
A surge and hiss, and one set of huge rain. The long straight slate grit, clamors of wind with a storm charge. Swarms of wind places, rushing of wind pit, hurrying swept through the torn uplifted plains. Heaven's waters trailed and dribbled through the drowned land.
Yes. The rain is bringing energy from heaven, no? And it comes in this form of a sudden rush. The rain also makes a sound as it comes, if it's a big storm, no? As the rain starts, the onset. Huge rain. We don't often get the monsoon like this here. This is the monsoon as it is in northern India, no? And there it must be already happening. That's why the air here has cooled down a bit from the end of May. These kind of rains are happening. And there, really, it lasts sometimes for 3 months at a time. Heavy, heavy rain. So there's the sound, the surge, suddenly it comes, and there's that sound of the hiss of the rain, as a huge, heavy rain. And then it settles in, it goes on, the long, straight sleet drift. Sleet is a mixture of rain and snow. It's cold. And then there's the noise of the wind coming with great noisy gusts, as if charging, like an army charging. And if you have the subtle vision, perhaps you can see these many, many wind faces, all the beings of the wind and the rushing of the wind feet. So these wind faces and these wind feet, they sweep quickly, hurrying through the prone, afflicted plains. The flat lands, they can't do anything. They have no defense. They're just flat, and all these storms sweep across. No? And these waters, these energy, life-giving waters that have come from the sky, they trail and dribble. There's little streams running everywhere. Dribbling, that's what children do, you know. They, the liquid comes out, babies out of their mouths. So the waters are just running like that through this drowned land. Probably there are floods in some places. Mihong.
Then all was a swift stride, a silent race. All was Texas shout and waterspout.
You can read the next 3 lines.
A dimness said on the grey floor of the dingy swirling nymph joined morn to eve, wallowing in sludge and shower. It reached black dark.
So when the storm is past, then there's just this rush of water, a race, sibilant. It means it makes a noise, a kind of hissing noise. And this rapid stride movement. And everything, there's the shout of the tempest and the falling of the water. So even during the daytime, it's not bright and shining, it's dim, the clouds are hanging low, sagging means hanging down. The clouds seem almost to reach the earth. And that dingy is grey, dull, not the opposite of colourful, no? Dingy. Sprawling length, the day just goes on and on. You can't tell the difference between morning and evening until, and it's wallowing. There's this, wallowing is what hippopotamuses do in the mud. You know, they roll, so the day is wallowing in sludge, the sticky mud. And the showers, the day reaches a black dark. There's no stars, there's no moon. It's completely dark. Martin.
Day a half darkness wore as its dull dress. Light looked into dawn's tarnished glass and met its own face there, twinned to half-lit nights. Downpour and drip and seeping mist swayed all, and turned dry soil to bog and reeking mud. Earth was a quagmire, heaven a dismal block. None saw through dank, trench weeds the dungeon sun.
Yes. So the daytime has this twilight, this half darkness, that's its dull dress. Dull is like dingy, colorless. And okay, the light comes at dawn, but the glass, the mirror of dawn is tarnished. You have an old mirror, it's got lots of spots and it doesn't show your face clearly. It's dull and streaky, you can't see yourself properly. So the light sees its face like that, like a half-lit night, a twilight kind of face. So there's these heavy showers, a downpour, and then there's the drip, and then there's the seeping, the water being absorbed into the earth. And there's this mist, which wet, damp mist, creeping everywhere. The dry soil gets turned to bog, a swamp, a really muddy place. And it smells bad, reeking mud. So the earth, our lovely Mother Earth, becomes a quagmire. That's a kind of a bog or a swamp that sucks you in. You know, that it's not firm ground anymore. It's your feet sink into it, and it may even pull you in. And heaven, that lovely sky, is just not there. It's this block of cloud, dismal. Dismal means it's also dull and dingy and dreary. There's no joy, there's no happiness there. It is Did we read this last line? None? Yes, yes. So for weeks and weeks and weeks, dank. That's when everything's wet. In the rainy season, you can't get your clothes dry. There's mold everywhere. No, this dank, drenched weeks, for weeks and weeks and weeks. It's as if the sun is in prison. It's in a dungeon. We can't see it. Nobody sees it. No. Dana Lakshmi.
Even when no turmoil vexed air's somber rest, or a faint rain glimmered through weeping clouds, as a sad smile gleams veiled by returning tears, all promised brightness failed at once denied, or soon condemned, died like a brief-lived hope.
It's such a pathetic picture, no? Even when there's no storm going on, vexed, troubling, there's no storm, even when no storm, no turmoil, disturbed, somber rest, the dark rest of air, or even some faint ray of sun glimmered through these clouds. They are still weeping, so there's water falling, but perhaps a little ray comes. He says it's like a sad smile veiled by returning tears. It may happen, you know, somebody's very, very upset and you get them to cheer up a little bit, but then the tears come again. So all promised brightness failed at once, denied. You think, oh, now at last the sun is going to come. No, it's not going to come. Or if it does come, if it comes just for a moment or two, it's soon condemned. No. It gets punished. It gets capital punishment. It died like a brief-lived hope. You might hope that the weather's going to improve, but it doesn't. This reminds me of the country where I grew up. It was always like that. I'm in one of the rainiest towns in England. And you'd look and you'd hope, but No, it would rain again. Rosa.
Then the last massive
Deluge.
Threshed, lead,
Dead.
dead,
Dead. Yeah, dead.
Maya.
Yes. Yeah.
And subsiding matter left all still, or only the muddy creep of sinking
Floods.
or only a whisper and green grass of trees.
Such a wonderful picture. So the last rains, the last massive floods, such heavy rains come down, and it's really like the mud underfoot is already dead, but somebody's beating it hard to thrash something. It's to beat hard. And then there's just as it becomes very quiet afterwards, no? A subsiding mutter, this little mutter of complaint becomes quiet. Everything becomes very still, and there's only that sound of the muddy creep of the floods as they drain away. Or there may be some wind in the trees. No? The trees have become green through all that rain, and they make a noise and toss their heads. It marks the end of the rainy time. Beautiful picture.
A Maenad of the cycles of desire, around a light she must not dare to touch, hastening towards a far-off, unknown goal, Earth followed the endless journey of the sun. A mind but half awake in the swing of the void, on the bosom of inconscience dreamed out life, and bore this finite world of thought and deed across the immobile trance of the infinite. A vast, immutable silence with her ran. Prisoner of speed upon a jeweled wheel, she communed with the mystic heart in space. Amid the ambiguous stillness of the stars, she moved towards some undisclosed event, and her rhythm measured the long whirl of time. In ceaseless motion round the purple rim, day after day sped by like coloured spokes, and through a glamour of shifting hues of air, the seasons drew in linked significant dance, the symbol pageant of the changing year. Across the burning languor of the soil paced summer with his pomp of violent noons, and stamped his tyranny of torrid light, and the blue seal of a great burnished sky. Next, through its fiery swoon or clotted knot, rain-tide burst in upon torn wings of heat, startled with lightnings, air's unquiet drowse, lashed with life-giving streams the torpid soil, overcast with flare and sound and storm-winged dark, the star-defended doors of heaven's dim sleep. Or from the gold eye of her paramour, covered with packed cloud veils, the earth's brown face. Armies of revolution crossed the time field. The clouds' unending march besieged the world. Tempests' pronunciamentos claimed the sky, and thunder drums announced the embattled gods. A traveller from unquiet neighbouring seas, the dense-maned monsoon rode neighing through earth's hours. Thick now the emissary javelins. Enormous lightnings split the horizon's rim, and hurled from the quarters as from contending camps, married heaven's edges, steep and bare and blind. A surge and hiss and onset of huge rain, the long straight sleet drift, clamours of winged storm charge, throngs of wind faces, rushing of wind feet, hurrying swept through the prone afflicted plains. Heaven's waters trailed and dribbled through the drowned land. Then all was a swift stride, a sibilant race, or all was tempest shout and waters fall. A dimness sagged on the grey floor of day, its dingy sprawling length joined morn to eve. Wallowing in sludge and shower, it reached black dark. Day a half-darkness wore as its dull dress. Light looked into dawn's tarnished glass and met its own face there, twin to a half-lit night's. Downpour and drip and seeping mist swayed all, and turned dry soil to bog and reeking mud. Earth was a quagmire, heaven a dismal block. None saw through dank, drenched weeks the dungeon sun. Even when no turmoil vexed air's sombre rest, or a faint ray glimmered through weeping clouds, as a sad smile gleams, veiled by returning tears, all promised brightness failed at once, denied. or soon condemned, died like a brief-lived hope. Then a last massive deluge thrashed dead mire, and a subsiding mutter left all still, or only the muddy creep of sinking floods, or only a whisper and green toss of trees.